Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Callie Osted with the Nebraska Tourism Commission. I'm here today with Wendy Morrissey and Nick Paden. They're going to share some information about NETA as well as a legislative update. If you have any questions at all during this webinar, you can email them to me. It's callie.osted@nebraska.gov. We'll get to those questions at the end of the presentation. But for now, I want to go ahead and welcome both Wendy and Nick up to the computer here. They're going to share some more information with us. So thank you both so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Callie. Appreciate it.
Perfect. As Callie mentioned, I'm Wendy Morrissey. I'm the Executive Director of the Nebraska Travel Association. For all of our members that are watching today, I want to thank you for your support. And for anyone that is not a member, I'm here to ask for your support today. We are the voice and advocate for the travel and tourism industry in Nebraska. And what your membership dollars go towards is advocacy in the legislature. Most of our money goes towards hiring a lobbyist to be our voice. And that's what Nick's here to tell you about today, is what's going on in legislature this year and what we're doing to help the travel and tourism industry. So in addition to being an advocate for you, the Nebraska Travel Association also provides education for members. We are doing educational webinars and seminars throughout the year. Next month on March 12th, we are doing a marketing webinar for our members. It'll be a free educational opportunity, and so there'll be more information going out about that soon. And then event-wise, our biggest event is brochure swap, and that happens every spring. All of our members gather in the center part of the state, and we work together to get everyone's brochures distributed throughout the state for the next season. In addition to that, we are here to connect everyone in the industry. We are here to do social events together, to bring everyone together if you have questions or you're facing a problem. I'm sure there's someone out there that has faced the same issue or has the same question. So anytime you can come to us, we'll connect you with the right person, we'll help you find the solution. Or if you're facing any issues at a higher level, that's once again what we have a lobbyist for, to help us fight issues, look out for new laws, and protect us. So I'm asking once again for your support so that we can continue to do what we're doing. You can find more information and the membership form on our website, which is nebraskatravelassociation.com. And with that, I will let Nick give us the update. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, I brought cheat sheets because I have a lot of information. I'm used to being able to cheat off my computer to look things up, so forgive me if I have to check my notes. But my name is Nick Paden. I was excited to be here today because, in all honesty, there's not a lot of people in my everyday life that will ask me the question, hey, what's going on at the legislature? I get home and I don't hear that questions, but it is a passion and a love of mine that I've enjoyed for nearly 2 decades. So I'm excited to be able to share the information about a place that I have the utmost respect for. Just briefly, a little background about myself. I started right out of college. I was one of those graduated in December graduate, and was looking for a job and had no interest in politics at the time. I thought I was going to save the world by being a sports psychologist. That didn't work out as well as I thought when you're 18 to 22 years old. A buddy of mine was a page in the Capitol, and he said, hey, I think you'd really like it. There's a senator hiring, he needs a committee clerk. I thought that sounds great. Hopefully they'll tell me what a committee clerk is and does, but I went down and checked it out. Very, very long story short. I'll save you the rest of the details. But former Senator Ray Jansen from Nickerson hired me. It was like working for your grandpa. Great boss, great experience. I knew within the first week of being in the Capitol that I loved the place. I wanted to do more there, and I loved it. And everything I learned about politics, particularly state politics, I learned on the job, self-taught. Like I said, I didn't go to college to do anything in politics. So enough about myself. I just want to give you a little bit of background, and hopefully my passion and my respect for the legislature will come through as you see this presentation. So some of these slides, and I do want to let you know up front, some of them, by the time I had to get these emailed to go on the air with you today, some of this may have been altered even as of late as of this morning, and we'll get to that. But today is day 27 of the legislative session. Obviously, it's February 20th. This is a 60-day session. They refer to it as a short session. A session is technically 2 years. You start off in 2019, they had a 90-day session, which they refer to as a long session. Bills that are not passed or not killed last year carry over into 2020. We are now in the short session, the second half of that regular session. This is the 60-day session. I always refer to this one as bullets flying from every direction at all times. It is such a short window to get things accomplished. So 60 days, we began January 8th. Constitutionally, they start the first Wednesday of the first full week every year. So we started January 8th. We are tentatively scheduled to adjourn, sine die adjournment on April 23rd. That can be altered, give or take a day, depending on where they're at as we near the end. If there's still major bills laying out there, they might. We'll go till the 23rd. If all the legislation's wrapped up, then they'll try to get them out of there. I always, just as a rule of thumb, say around tax day for a short session. Right now we are in the latter stages of committee hearings, which began about a month ago. Committee hearings in the afternoon. We're nearing another landmark of the session. Next Thursday will be the last day of hearings. I have what I refer to as landmarks of the session. Obviously, when you start, when you end. Day 10 is also another day that I look forward to. That is the last day of bill introductions. So I always say, at least on day 10, you know what's on the table. You know, I always say the chips are on the table. We know what's coming. Then we get into committee hearings in the afternoon. Nebraska is unique compared to a lot of places. Every bill gets a hearing, and a lot of that has to do with because we are unicameral. It is the people truly are the second house in this legislature, and every bill having a hearing enables citizens of the state to come in and voice their opinion. I have been to other forms of government, other legislatures across the country. I remember the first time I went to a different state and they said, well, don't worry, that bill's not going anywhere. It's not even going to get a hearing. And I was just like, go back. The bill's not going to get a hearing. I don't understand that. They're like, oh yeah, no, chairperson has the ability to schedule a hearing or not. Just blew my mind. So, like I said, we are the one and only unicameral. So the way that we've learned to do things, that I've learned to do things, doesn't always translate to other places. So, like I said, next Tuesday or next Thursday is the last day of hearings. The following Tuesday, after a recess weekend, the following Tuesday, March 3rd, we'll begin full day debate, beginning at 9 a.m. and continuing, usually breaking for lunch, usually go till 4:30 or 5. Later on, I'll have down here, but according to the Speaker's office, somewhere around March 18th, we will start going into late nights. And that's when the magic happens. So you got to be on guard when you're out there in the rotunda at 9, 10 o'clock and people start getting a little growly with each other at times. So priority bills, I put that up there. I'll get into that on the next slide a little bit more, but in a short session, the reason I have that there, short session priority bills are crucial. In a longer 90-day session, it's possible for a senator to introduce more common sense, non-controversial bills, get them passed through the legislature, and there's still time to get to everyone's priority bills. In a short session, that's not always the case. And I've already started to run into that, and a bill that I'll talk about a little later has ran into that problem. So priority bills, very big deal in a short session. So where we are today, senators are meeting in the mornings, full floor debate. They begin about 9 o'clock. They'll go till noon. They're debating. They started out the year debating carryover bills from last year. We are now getting into bills from 2020. We just started a couple of days ago debating priority bills that have gotten through committee and gotten to the floor. We're really starting to get to the meat of the session now. And as I'd said earlier, afternoons starting at 1:30, committees are breaking. Senators are going to their committee hearings. Those, there's no time limit on those. There's big bills, big hearings can go into the evenings. Most times they're done late afternoon. Priority bills. Good timing with the date of this presentation. Yesterday was the deadline to submit request for speaker priority. Any senator is able to do that. Speaker Scheer said on the floor last week, he said to his colleagues, keep in mind, I normally get 4 to 5 times the number of priority requests as I can designate. Speaker can designate 25 speaker priority designations. Tomorrow, deadline for committee and senator priority bills. Each standing committee gets 2 bills that they can pick to send to the floor with priority designation. Each senator gets 1. So doing the math in my head, which I probably shouldn't do, 25 speaker priorities, 2 committees, probably 24 total committee priorities, and 49 senator priorities. And we have just over 30 days left to get to all those. Like I said, we're really getting down to what this session is going to be remembered for. You come back next week, Speaker will spend the weekend reading the request from his colleagues for speaker priorities, and he will announce the 25 speaker priority bills on February 25th. I did get ahead of myself a little bit earlier. February 27th, as I'd mentioned, next week, next Thursday, last day of committee hearings, and then the following Tuesday, March 3rd, first day of floor debate. Another note that the speaker had mentioned actually on the floor just yesterday, as we get to this part of the session nearing the halfway point of a short session, it will be, in his words, priority bills from here on out. And said basically that we are marking the beginning of the second half. So now that I've given kind of an overview of the session of the legislature, a little bit on the process and where we are today in this short session, I did want to highlight some of the more tourism-related bills that we have marked. As Wendy had said, we monitor and flag bills. There's some that we may need to oppose. There's some that we would love to support, and we do support. There's some that we just keep an eye on, and actually there's quite a few of those that we just monitor because it has the potential to maybe affect tourism in the state. Or maybe we see something that, we'll flag it, we'll bring it to their attention and see what they think about it. And a lot of times it's, just watch it, keep us surprised. So, different categories and different call to action on some of these bills. So in 2019 and 2020, we flagged 36 tourism-related bills. Priority bills, like I'd said, this was even in flux as of this morning. As of the 2020 bills, I was really hoping to come here today and report that LB 461, which I'll get into more in depth in a minute, would have been prioritized. The senator that I was holding out hope for found me in the rotunda this morning and said, going with another bill. So no priority designations on the bill list for this year. Bills that do not pass this year, please keep in mind, this is the second part of the session again. If a bill does not pass after this session, all bills are dead. They go away. January of 2021, we start over again. So more specifically, some of the major bills that we're watching, LB 187, a bill from Senator Lindstrom, Omaha Senator Lindstrom, to expand communities' abilities to develop youth sports complexes and turns back sales tax revenues to enable communities to pay for those. It's broken down into 3 different sizes of cities: metropolitan class, primary class, and first and second classes. Basically, the background behind this bill is that, as I'd said, Senator Lindstrom is an Omaha senator, and he had heard a lot from his constituents and in the city of Omaha that a lot of youth athletic events, particularly soccer, were being held other places. I heard many times across the river in Council Bluffs. They had the facilities. Omaha did not have the facilities, and there's groups that are chomping at the bit to develop these, not only in Omaha, not only in Lincoln, but all over. Starting to hear North Platte, Grand Island, you name it. I'm starting to hear these communities pop up that, yeah, if you pass this bill, we'd love to develop a sports complex. And part of it's not just the sports complex itself, it's the businesses that pop up around it. It's the hotels, it's gas stations, restaurants, shopping centers. It's economic development. The bill has carried over from last year. It is a revenue committee bill. The bill is still in committee, and as of last check before I left here, before I left the office to come here, had not been prioritized yet. There was another senator who had it on his short list, and I'm still waiting to hear. And if you're paying attention a couple slides ago, he has until tomorrow to make up his mind. So I wish I had better news or something more to tell you about on that, but nothing yet. And as I go through these bills, I meant to say this at the beginning, I'm going at a pretty high level. I'm not going too in depth, but if you've got specific questions about anything that I'm talking about, any of the bills that we're going to talk about, feel free to email them in. There's a question and answer at the end. I don't claim to be the expert on all of it, but I will do my best to get you the answer. So fire away and hope to hear from you at the end of this. LB 461, a bill I referenced earlier today, or earlier in this presentation, bill by Senator Friesen. He's the chairman of the Transportation and Telecommunications Committee from Henderson, Nebraska. What once developed originally 13 months ago is a bill that would have completely deregulated passenger services, particularly taxi cabs. Has been amended, worked on, parties have gotten involved. It has turned more into a bill today of transportation of people, and that could be railway crews, it could be taxis, limos, it can be you name it. Well, one of the ideas that our organization worked on early in the session and brought to Senator Friesen in the form of an amendment to this bill was what we call the agritourism exemption, which would basically allow for agritourism purposes the transport of people. The example that I have heard a lot was crane watching. Could be used not just for that, but anything that would be agritourism. The amendment that we brought to the committee was adopted by the committee, which was great news. The problem, as I mentioned earlier, is the bill is stalled in committee because it does not have a priority. If it got sent to the floor, the chances of it right now getting scheduled, not great because it doesn't have that priority status. So we'll continue to work on that. We're It's kind of the nature of the beast that, you work so hard on a bill and you spend so much time on a bill, and then the committee even agrees with you and votes on it 7-0-1, but then to just see it stall. We're not, we haven't tried all of our tricks yet, but we're gonna do what we can. My suggestion is if the bill would die because lack of being scheduled by the speaker, because it lacked the priority, that we come back next year with a basic, simple bill that every committee member agreed on the agritourism piece. So keep that in mind, and we'll keep working on it. Again, wish I could tell you that had moved to the floor with priority status. Another bill that we supported this year, LB 1056, Senator Lowe from Kearney. Pretty simple bill, would expand licensed premise for wineries, for distilleries, microbreweries. It would basically allow those locations or those businesses to expand their scope into adjoining lots or alleys or streets, you name it, with a new special liquor license. There's a limit. They can only do that for 15 days. I think what they envisioned were festivals, music festivals, things like that. St. Patrick's Day party as we're nearing St. Patrick's Day. The committee responded well. It was a really good hearing for Senator Lowe. I followed up with him afterwards. He had told me, without having a specific priority designation on 1056, he feels good about the bill because he has been told that General Affairs Committee would take that bill and put it into their package of bills that they're going to send to the floor as one bill. A crafty little tactic known as Christmas treeing. So you take bills, and it's normally bills that are non-controversial, such as this. You put them with a bunch of other bills that are non-controversial, package them all together, call it one bill, send it to the floor. Senator Lowe, last I checked, he feels really good about it, and thanked the Travel Association for their support on it. Property tax reform, very fitting. We just finished debate this morning on the first 3 hours of property tax reform for 2020. Previous versions of this bill included targeting services, and it seemed like tourism services were often involved. It could be anything. If you qualify now for a sales tax exemption, chances are in previous versions you were eliminated in previous attempts. This year is much more simple. I will let you know right now, I'm not a tax expert, but it's pretty simple in principle that basically the state is going to take more money given to public schools for school aid funding. In return, that would allow the local levels to ratchet down their property tax levels. It shrinks the assessed value of agricultural land, business, and residential over a three-year ratchet down, so that after 3 years, Nebraskans would hopefully see a significant property tax reduction. The fight going on right now, and again, they just concluded this morning debating this, is that schools, for various reasons, don't feel comfortable agreeing that their funding will not decrease from where they're at now. I think that's fair to say. Even though that Chairperson Linehan, who chairs the Revenue Committee, has promised that schools would be held harmless, there's still a battle going on. When it comes to funding in schools, you can usually bet that there's going to be a legislative battle. So more on that. They debated it for 2.5 hours yesterday morning. They debated it for another half hour this morning. No action was taken. The speaker basically pulled it off the agenda, and we moved on, and the speaker had said that basically that the supporters of the bill need to come up with the 33 votes to move the bill and to break the filibuster. And I think the ball is now in the supporters' court to come up with those 33 votes. A lot of game and parks bills this year. Senator Hughes, I've been in his office a few times this year. Questions on some of these bills. LB 859, I'll just go through. The Game and Parks Commission members in the ag profession. It would mandate that three of the commissioners would be engaged in farming and livestock. LB 860 deals with commission districts and basically would redraw the commission districts based on land mass, as opposed to the way they do it now, which resembles more population. The explanation I was given by Senator Hughes' office is that the majority of Games and Parks lands is in the western 2/3 of the state, redrawing those boundaries, and their view is a fair way of giving representation across the state to where the majority of those Games and Parks lands are. LB 863 limits land ownership by the commission. This one, and I feel confident in saying that this one has more to do with not the fact that ultimately Senator Hughes would like Game and Parks to no longer add to the amount of property that they own at the moment, but had more to do with the way that he felt they were running some of their recreation areas. If you've seen the papers and over the last couple of weeks, you could read more on that. There were issues with big weekends, I know, like at Lake McConaughey and some other parks, according to his office, that basically this was kind of a warning shot that, hey, we need to do a better job of protecting park goers and those who choose to use the Game and Parks lands, and specifically their security and safety. Another bill which was kind of fun, a little different twist this year, LB 1071. This one would reimburse farmers for crop loss and provides transferable hunting permits. What we're hearing a lot this year in committee and on the floor in debate is that landowners, particularly in western Nebraska, are seeing massive amounts of damage to crops through wildlife, protected wildlife, or not, I shouldn't use the word protected, but wildlife that can only be hunted in particular seasons. So this bill would provide for not just the hunting, but also provide like a cash recovery reimbursement. I guess the word is right there. So well, interesting to see where that one goes. I want to say that bill, I walked by the committee and that bill was just this week. Anyway, it should be on our list. Let's see. Those were the bills that we'd highlighted this year. And again, between now and April 23rd, when we adjourn sine die and officially end this session, I think I've given you an idea, hopefully given you an idea how much senators have to tackle. The amount of big issues, it's all still in front of them. And with 32 days to go, and probably some pretty late nights here as we get to the end of March and into April, they've got a lot to do. So this is normally the time when I open it up to questions, but I know they're coming in online, hopefully. We getting some questions?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions
Okay.
for you, Nick. So we can go ahead and start going through some of those.
Sure,
now.
yeah.
The first question I have is about LB 236. It's
Okay.
regarding access to sales and use tax information. Can you explain this bill, and does it affect the tourism industry?
236. See, I said earlier, this is normally where I can cheat and I just pull it up on my computer so normally I would just pull it up and say, oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Without it in front of me, I would hate to speculate. I wish I could just take a really quick glance. Between last year and this year, over close to 1,100 bills were introduced, and I just, numbers off the top of my head, I really apologize. I wish I could answer that question.
I can help you actually pull it up if you
Oh, could you? Thank you. All right,
Yeah,
I
we can pull
apologize
it up
for the
here.
delay. Yes, if I could just jump online and take one quick look at it, I could better answer that question.
No problem.
Did you see when I was asked that question, I reached for my pocket?
Yeah.
I was trying to get my phone so I could pull
Oh,
it
wait.
up and,
What's the website where you can go to?
NEBR legislature.
I just went to our website.
Yeah, funny.
Yeah.
Mine just automatically goes there, 236?
Yes.
Got it. You know, and I should have looked, I've got my, my bill list here as well, so I should have looked and it's probably on there. 236, 236 was actually approved by the governor on February 12th. 236 changes access to sale and use tax information with respect to Nebraska Advantage Transformational Tourism and Redevelopment Act. It passed, I'm just taking a look through really briefly, so please excuse while I guess you could call this cheating, but it looked like it flew through pretty easily. Not a lot of amendments. It carried over from last year. It was already on the floor in general file, which is first round of debate, was carried over into this year, and it went through the legislative process and signed by the governor in the span of 3 weeks. So, sorry, here I am, fire your questions away and I'll answer all of them, and yeah, I'm 0 for 1, so I apologize to whoever sent that.
That's okay. At least we have the website up
Yeah,
there.
at least now I can look
we're
at the
getting
bill.
there.
And, yeah.
Okay, I do have a couple more for
Sure,
you.
yeah.
The next question I have is about LB 314.
Okay.
So remote seller sales tax collection. Are you able to elaborate on the provisions of this bill, and is it something the industry should be concerned with?
Let me check this one. This one rings a bell. Yes, that's what I thought it was. The bill carried over from last year. We have taken, our travel association has taken a position of opposition. Without the bill, I know as soon as I open it, I'll know exactly what it is, but the bill carried over from last year. I am not showing that it has a priority, which is good. Trying to think. See, so for all of our travel association members, this is normally what I'm doing when I'm on the conference calls. I'm looking and I'm talking on the phone here. So with this being live, I can't cheat as well, so I apologize. But yeah, I am showing that it did carry over. The bill is technically still alive. It does not have a priority status, and it is still in committee, still in revenue committee. So.
Okay, well I have a couple more questions for you. These are
Okay.
these are some tough questions for you throwing
Wow.
at you.
We're talking bills that were introduced 13 months ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
but no.
Okay, the next question. Are
Yes.
there any updates on LB 720, Imagine Nebraska Act?
Yes, where to begin? So 720 actually, and I don't even have to look. So 720 actually, they held a special hearing on that, on an amendment, which in a nutshell was a reach out to get more rural senators on board with the bill. Originally, senators generally felt that the bill would do more for urban Nebraska. The amendment replaced the bill, became the bill. They did have a hearing on it, I want to say about 2 weeks ago. It sounds like it does have a lot more rural support now, with some programs, tax credit programs that are more designed for the rural parts of the state. I've sensed a lot of momentum in the Capitol, in the Rotunda. I ran into the introducer of the bill, Senator Coulterman. He feels very good about it. The issue with 720 is that senators keep saying that 720 and the property tax bill 974 one can't be passed without the other. And I'm not gonna say I agree or disagree, they don't let me vote, but I do think that with our current Nebraska Advantage Act sunsetting this year, I do hope that it gets back up and gets a chance to be debated, because whether they do something or not, our current tax or our current business incentive program is going away at the end of this year. And hopefully this was a step in the right direction for Senator Coulterman and LB 720, that the bill, some of the opposition that it faced last year has gone away.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see. The next question I have, with all of the bills with game and parks, which one will have the greatest impact on tourism?
That's a good question. And as I was preparing this and going through these bills, I thought about that bill many times. If I were to guess, I think it would be the one that's not probably going to pass. And I normally don't make bold statements like that, especially as I look into a camera and I'm not sure who's watching, but I don't foresee prohibiting the ability of game and parks to acquire new land. I think that would probably do the most harm to tourism. But on the other hand, I right now I'm not sensing any momentum that that's going to go anywhere. So we probably don't have to worry about it. Hopefully that answered your question and didn't get me in any hot water. But
Okay, let's see here. We have one more for you.
Okay.
This is about the Tin Roof Sundae being declared the official state ice cream sundae.
Okay.
Can you explain the process of the hearing, which is next Thursday, and what the next steps are? What if there is no opposition at hearing?
I'm trying to think. Did it happen to give you a bill number? I remember seeing that during bill introduction. Do we even have? We might have that on our list. I apologize.
Let's see. There's a link here.
Because that one made me smile when we were reading through bills during bill introduction, and I was like, finally, something we can all get behind.
Oh, LR. Yeah. Oh, LR 282.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Excuse me one sec. Oh yeah, Senator Erdman. Yes, I remember I was having coffee with him before session started over the holidays, and he told me he was going to do this, and I don't know if I believed him 100%, and then there it did. It showed up in bill introduction. That's a good question. So the bill is in front of exec board. I see what the question is. So exec board is a special committee. It's not one of our standing committees where the normal process of coming in and filling out a sheet and testifying, yay, I like Tin Roof Sundays, or no, this is the worst thing ever. Exec board is a little different animal, and I am not 100%. Wow, congratulations whoever sent this in, because you just stumped me about participating in a legislative resolution in front of exec board. I was doing so good too. Well, I don't know about good, but I was getting through it. No. I would suggest let me find out a little bit more on this, and if it means that much to whoever submitted this question, please reach out, and then Callie can.
And I can connect you both.
Yes, Callie
individually
can.
as well.
Yes, Callie can connect us. I'd be glad to get you answers. My guess would be, knowing members of the exec board, including the chair, simple letter of support would go a long way. A letter of support to the exec board, to Senator Erdman to take with him. I'd be happy to jump in and with the blessing of the Travel Association, with the approval of the Travel Association, would be happy to jump in as well and help out where I can. But that would be my suggestion. If it really means that much to you and you want to voice your opinion, Callie can connect us, and I will when I answer your email, I'll have more information than I do right now. So.
Yes. Well, I'll go
Shoot,
ahead
I was
and-
stumped.
No, I think you did an amazing job. Those were some really difficult questions. So, again, I just want to thank you and Wendy so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today to share this information.
Yeah.
So if you did happen to get your questions in, I keep checking. But go ahead and continue to send those in to me. I can pass them along. And please, I do encourage everyone who is watching to go ahead and take our survey. At the bottom of your screen there, you'll see the link. Let us know your thoughts and if this was helpful. And I hope you all. Oh, it looks like Nick has one more thing to add. Of course.
Yeah, I do. I have one more thing. I jumped into the questions too quick. I apologize. One more thing I want to mention, and this will just take a second, but I'm trying to get this back up to full screen.
Oh, from current slide, it's the second in from the right. There you go.
There we go. Thank you. We are getting into an election year, you've probably heard, but we, not only on the federal level, this is an election year statewide as well. And term limits has taken effect in our state. Voters approved the term limits. So this go around in 2020, we have 6 senators who are term limited, including our speaker from Norfolk. Senator Howard from Omaha, who chairs the Health and Human Services Committee. Senator Bowles from Lincoln, who you may have heard is running for Congress. Senator Crawford from Omaha, Kolowski from Omaha, and Senator Chambers as well. It'll be strange next year to look into the chamber and not see Senator Chambers. I won't opine anymore. He is in his 80s. If he were to take 4 years off, which he would have to do, and turn around and come back, he's closer to 90. The reality of seeing him only 33 more days has set in, and it'll be very strange without him, for good or for bad. It'll be really weird without him. So, anyway, I just wanted to mention. This is an election year. As soon as session wraps up in April, it is going to be time to get out and meet the people who are running to replace these not only term limited senators, but the ones who are running for re-election as well. So, never ends. It's just a continuing cycle. Anyway, thank you very much. Hopefully you got a lot out of that. It was pleasant.
Yeah, and I just, on behalf of Nebraska Travel Association, want to thank Andy and Nick, our lobbyist team, for all of the hard work they do for us. And once again, I want to ask the industry for your support. We need your support to the association so that we can continue doing what we do for you. So thanks again for having us, Kelly.
Yes, thanks for tuning in.